Welcome to our presentation. Volkswagen Group holds the most market share, followed by French car manufacturer Stellantis. The HHI for the market in 2020 is of 1,478, which indicates a competitive market, in this case an oligopoly, as brands are highly affected by pricing decisions. Profitability of Volkswagen can be seen in this graph measured by the operating profit margin. It shows a stable trend of around 6%, except for the drops in 2015 and 2020, where breaching regulations and COVID took place.
During COVID-19, spikes in the demand for key components from other sectors and longer input shipping times have led to disruption in car production across Europe. A notable example is the shortage of semiconductor components for autos, as their supplies were diverted to consumer electronics such as gaming system, home electronics, and personal computers, whose demand skyrocketed. Consequently, 4.5 million fewer cars were produced in 2020 compared to 2019. Here in this graph we can see that since supply decreased, the price of cars increased, and people had no intention to buy a car at a higher price, so demand for cars also fell sharply.
Overall, Europe's car market contracted in the last decade. This was due to more stringent CO2 emission regulations, an increase in environmental awareness, the lockdown in 2020, a rise in energy costs, and the uncertainty caused by the war in Ukraine. All these factors led to a decrease in demand for combustion engine cars by 30.4% between 2018 and 2022. This was followed by an increase in demand for electric and hybrid vehicles of 674% between the years 2018 and 2022. This demand increase was the consequence of government incentives promoting the purchase of electric vehicles, environmental policies, consumer preferences, technological innovations, and public incentives. The European car makers maintained their market share in value terms by reorientating their production to hybrid and electric cars, whose value is higher than of combustion cars. This helped to remediate some of the overall losses, and in the second quarter of 2022, 42.2% of all passenger car registrations were for either hybrid or fully electric vehicles, compared with 5% in mid-2018. This high demand gave producers a chance to raise prices, and the increase in energy prices were passed on to consumers, leading to an electric vehicles price increase of 8.7% in August 2022. More and more producers shifted their production towards electric vehicles as the prices were higher, and they also received government subsidies, which decreased their production cost.
To reduce pollution, the German government wants to have 15 million electric cars on the road by 2030 by implementing a subsidy. Firstly, this year they have reduced value-added tax from 19% to 16%. The government also decided to subsidize 2 million electric cars to prioritize green vehicle ownership. For cars priced up to 40,000 euros, the subsidy amounts to 6,000 euros. This leads to lower production costs, which would incentivize producers to supply a greater quantity at all prices. So a virtual shift of the supply curve to supply post-subsidy, leading to a surplus at P-star. With a subsidy, the price paid by consumers is therefore lower than equilibrium, and the price received by suppliers is higher than equilibrium, which is why we find PS and PD on the graph. Electric vehicles are generally pre-elastic. A small decrease in price would lead to a significant greater increase in quantity demanded. This explains the virtual shift of the supply curve or demand curve as shown on the graph, depending on the recipient of the subsidy. However, bonuses for electric cars are currently being reduced to 3,000 euros and will keep on decreasing. The government explains that this is because e-cars have become increasingly attractive for buyers, even without support payments, and they also might want to reduce the opportunity cost of subsidies.
Challenges the industry will face in the next decade. Transition to electric vehicles. The EU aims for a significant shift to electric vehicles, posing challenges for manufacturers in building charging infrastructure and meeting strict pollution regulations. Second, trade and geopolitical factors. European automakers' businesses may be impacted by trade disputes, China concerns, and geopolitical upheaval. Changes in trade laws could affect automotive product dynamics.
It is a real threat to the European car industry.
Third, access to raw materials. Securing essential raw materials such as lithium and cobalt for electric vehicles faces challenges due to geopolitical conflicts and resource availability. And lastly, consumer preference. Shifting consumer preferences toward eco-friendly transportation such as bicycles and changing mobility trends will influence the demand for various vehicle types and services, which will affect the automobile industry.
This is the end of our video. Thank you for watching.